Is Jungkook really leaving? Then why is Jimin crying? The army must be prepared. This is more than a farewell. Jungkook just disappeared. No news. Without warning. There was only one clue left. A 17-second phone call at 2:37 in the morning, then silence. And from that moment on, no one from HYB's management dared to open their voice. But why did Jimin cry in front of the camera the next day? And what do his quiet words, "I promise to protect this secret until he's ready to talk," mean? Question after question has touched the hearts of armies around the world. Is it about personal decisions, the pressures of the entertainment world, or something darker and more mysterious? In this news, we will open one by one the layers of stories covered for weeks. Not just gossip. It's a chain of facts, tacit testimonials, and emotions that are hard to guess. People talk about the pressures in the entertainment industry, but few understand the depth of the wounds it leaves behind. As news of Jungkook's disappearance began to circulate, many alleged this was just part of a secret comeback strategy. They think it's just marketing drama. But what if not? What if it's not a made-up scenario, but a silent scream from someone who's been in the spotlight for too long, but has never really been seen? A few hours before Jungkook disappeared, there was a live broadcast of Jimin that was deleted in just 3 minutes. In the broadcast, Jimin's eyes seemed puffy. It sits still for the first 30 seconds, as if it were listening to a voice inaudible to us. Then she said, "Please don't blame him. You don't know what's really going on." Then a black screen. No files. No explanation. Only the footage the fans had time to record before the broadcast was pulled from HYB's system. Why would a company of that size let something that seems so small become so big? Or could it be that they just want us to know, but not in a blatant way? HYB released an official statement the following day. Jungkook is taking time for himself. But the army knows it's a cliche. And what is more disturbing, there has been no social media activity from Jungkook since that night. Not on Weverse, not on Instagram. There are also no signs of activity through BTS's official account. Even Taehyung, who is usually very expressive, uploaded just one image of a crow standing on a barbed wire fence with no caption, symbol, code, or coincidence. Are they being restrained from speaking? Rumors in the fandom community are going wild. Some say Jungkook was involved in a heated internal conflict, that one of BTS's secret projects triggered a split between the members and management. One longtime staffer who worked with them since the *Wings* era posted on the anonymous X account, formerly Twitter, "You can only be silent once you know he chose to be honest, but honesty is not the currency the world pays for." Who is the he in question? Jungkook? Or is someone up there pressuring the members to keep going according to the script? And this is where it all starts to make no sense, but is too real to ignore. 3 days after Jungkook's disappearance, an army man from Busan reported to his fanbase that he saw someone similar to Jungkook walking alone at night towards the old pier at Jigaoki port. He was wearing a black hoodie, walking quickly without looking back. When called, he only turned his head briefly. His face was pale, as if holding something back. Pain, scared, or regret? Is it possible that this is about someone who knows he can no longer play the role of the perfect idol? Is it about identity conflicts, about the question, who am I really behind the constantly flashing camera? Or is there something deeper, darker, that has been stuck behind the smile that is always sold on stage? Fans began linking the incident to Jungkook's long-standing conversations in 2018, when he said in an interview, "Sometimes I don't know who I'm living for anymore." Back then, his words were considered a natural, tired expression of a hard worker. But now, those words felt like an inaudible plea from a young man who had always wanted to be heard, not admired. The climax came when a well-known entertainment lawyer in Korea leaked to local media that there is one case in the K-pop industry that is about to explode due to inhumane contract violations and emotional confinement of major artists. No names were mentioned, but the timing of the statement coming together with Jungkook's disappearance made the public immediately pull the strings. Is this what Jungkook is fighting for in silence? But the biggest question, why is Jimin crying? Jungkook's closest friend performed in a charity concert a week after the silence, and while singing the song Promise, his voice broke. She looked down, cried for 2 minutes, and just said, "I hope he hears." The fans are screaming. Some call this emotional engineering. But those who have been following BTS's journey for a long time know that this is not acting. Jimin did not cry to provoke sympathy. She was crying because she lost something she couldn't possibly save. What really happened that night? Who called Jungkook at 2:37? Why did he leave? Why did no one really answer, sending only gestures, scraps of pictures, ambiguous sentences, and blank stares on stage? And if all this is not about drama or secret projects, then maybe this is a form of resistance. We too often look at idols as brands. We forget they have fragile spots, past wounds, inner conflicts that will never show up in fancam or Instagram highlights. Maybe that night, Jungkook didn't disappear. Perhaps he chose to let go of everything so that he could return to being a normal human being, even if only for a moment. But the question is, will he come back? And if he comes back, do we deserve him back? And now, the question is, what should the army do? Are we waiting? Demanding? Silence? Or prepare to accept that not all stories end with a stage and applause? They say it's just a break. But how is it possible that a person with a full schedule and a professional PR team can simply disappear for more than 2 weeks without a single coherent update? Even rookie idols keep posting things when they're resting. But this is not a rookie. This is Jungkook, center of BTS. Global assets worth billions of won. No company will let its flagship product off the radar without a very big reason. Then the more painful question arises. Did he indeed choose to disappear? Or was he forced to? Nobody wants to say it outright, but in the deeper circles of fans who actually study patterns, cues, tones of voice, there are whispers that are heard more and more often. That all this time there was unwritten pressure, agreements that should not be denied, and the price of being a national idol that was never really agreed upon by the members. That their every step, their smile, even their cry, has been designed to be consumed. And when one of them tries to exit the script, the system will do everything in its power to subdue him back. Some call this an exaggeration. Conspiracy theories. But if you really follow every video, every live, every lyric they've written in the last 2 years, you'll realize that they've been screaming, just in a language that not everyone can understand. The song Still With You, which Jungkook wrote and sang in a whisper, feels like a final letter to a world that keeps pushing but never hears. Is the song a hidden farewell? Has he wanted to leave for a long time, but has always been pulled back by contracts, loyalty, or guilt? HYB did not answer. They released only one repeated sentence, as if already printed. We value the privacy of our artists. But why is privacy only valued when everything starts to fall apart? Why is it that when a scandal arises, they silence the media, but when their artist seems depressed, no one talks? Could it be because mental health is not a priority, but image? That's number one. Jimin, who was known to be the most sensitive and sensitive among the members, began to show signs of fatigue that were difficult to hide. In his last interview, when asked about the group's project, he was silent for almost 15 seconds. A long silence in the world of television. Then he replied in a low voice, "We all tried to keep smiling, because we know that's what you need." The words are sweet, but also cold. Is that sarcasm? Or despair? Some time ago, an insider from a competing label, whose identity we keep secret for security reasons, said that the system behind the scenes of K-pop is scarier than anyone imagined. You can't imagine how many celebrities want to quit but can't. Because of the contract, because of public pressure, and because of the guilt to the fans. So they keep smiling, even if they cry in the bathroom. One thing that is rarely discussed in the industry is how large corporations silence the voices of their artists, not with explicit prohibitions, but with gifts, sweet promises, and tacit threats. There is an artist who once said, "We were not handcuffed. We were hugged so tightly that it was difficult to breathe." And that's what some of the biggest idols feel, including the ones we've always adored for their perfect smiles and dances. You think Jungkook is just plain depressed? You think he's just tired of the schedule? Then why is it that every time he starts talking more honestly, his camera suddenly turns off? Why can't the live stream be played back? Why did some part of her vlog disappear the day after it was posted? It's not technical. This is an intervention. Some call this a conspiracy theory. But if coincidences happen every time he touches on sensitive topics, agency, pressure, mental health, then those coincidences are too neat to be accidental. And don't forget what happened to other idols who tried to tell the truth. Some are frozen. Some are ostracized. Some disappeared from the radar. Even the public does not know who started the rumors of suicide, who decided that silence is better than transparency. If a person like Jungkook can't even speak, what happens to a young trainee who doesn't even have the strength to call his family after training 18 hours a day? This is systemic madness wrapped in glitter. K-pop creates gods out of flesh and bone, then gets angry when they act like humans. And now Jungkook, the golden icon of this generation, may have reached the point where even all the love from fans can no longer heal the wounds planted by the structures that treat him as a product. You want proof? See the expression of his eyes in the last fan cam. See how his smile does not reach his eyes. Look at how he looks at the camera as if he is asking for help. That's not an edit. It's not fanfic. That is the reality we all help create. Why? Because we want them to look perfect every time. I'm disappointed they didn't update. Because we blame them when they look cold at the airport. Because we pressure them to comfort us, even when they themselves are destroyed inside. You think our love is sincere? Or is it actually a form of collective obsession packed with merch and fan cafe? Let's talk about something sharper. The role of Korean media. Many large outlets will not write articles like this. Why? Because they are controlled by sponsors, by major labels, by a PR system that ensures not a single sound comes out without filtering. They called it avoiding wild rumors, but in fact it was an attempt to keep everyone's mouth shut. And when one vote passes, the system will move. You don't believe me? Ask any former idol who has ever tried to open a voice. They were inundated with lawsuits, boycotted from TV, even removed from projects that had already finished filming. In this world, being honest is the most dangerous crime. That is why HYB's official statement that always reads, "We will take legal action against the spread of false information," is actually a powerful weapon to silence fans who are too critical. Are all questions defamation? Or is it just a way to scare the public into staying passive? And when fans asked why Jungkook had gone so long without news, HYB simply gave a snippet of a sentence that could be interpreted anywhere. Jungkook is focusing on his well-being. What does well-being mean in a world where their schedules are determined in minute detail? Meanwhile, there are rumors circulating. The faster, the more unstoppable. That Jungkook wanted to expose the darkest side of the industry in the form of an independent documentary. That he had contacted the overseas production team to discuss this project. That his intention to talk was known to the agency. And since then, everything began to change. Public activity is reduced. The schedule was shifted. Even his social media accounts, which were previously very active, went silent. And the more suspicious? Every time there are fans who voice this theory in detail, their accounts disappear. Shadow ban. Suspension. Some even claim to have received a DM from an anonymous account warning not to dig deeper, that we're not talking fiction anymore. This is not fan theory. This is a repressive system that doesn't want someone as strong as Jungkook to lift a mirror to the world that has been hiding wounds behind stage lights. And let's open up the most sensitive topic that many fans don't even dare to mention. What really happened between Jungkook and management over the past 2 years? There is a change in tone, in attitude, in expression. Is it just burnout? Or is there a tacit conflict that the public should not know about? Some insiders said that Jungkook disagreed with the new direction chosen for the group, that he wanted to explore music more freely, more raw, more personal, but wasn't allowed to because it didn't fit the brand's image. If so, then the question is clear. Who really owns the voice of Jungkook? Was it himself or the corporation that signed the contract? We've been pretending for a long time that it's all about the music and the fans. But now it's time for us to ask harder. Do we as an army really stand on the right side? Or are we being part of a system that secretly kills the light we claim we love? And before you scroll down, before you type, "This is too much," pause. Look into their eyes. Listen to the tones in their voices that were once passionate, but are now cautious. Does that sound like a happy person? You don't have to believe any of this. But you have an obligation to ask. Imagine if the whole world learned that the tears that fall behind the stage are not part of the drama, but evidence of a contract that turns life into a farce. Imagine if Jungkook, with all his courage, actually appeared in front of the camera and said, "We are never free. We are only released to the extent that benefits them." Do you think the world will listen? Or will the world destroy it first? Some say that some K-pop artists are luxury prisoners. They flew first class, but could never determine where they landed. They were given apartments, but every corner was equipped with sensors. They are given social media accounts, but all posts must go through the approval of the legal team. You think they actually write their own captions? A person from within a large agency, whose name cannot be named for